given a choice. Just one meal at the end of each day of flattened rice with milk. And your father, King Drupad, he wouldn't even eat that. All he had was holy water carried up from the river Ganga so that the gods would feel obligated to answer his prayers. And finally, the 30th day arrived.
What happened next time, Mom? What happened?
So, your father, he summoned the gods. He told them, I am King Drupad, ruler of Paanchali, one of the richest kingdoms in Bharat. We have been praying for 30 days and fasting too. I want my son. Then the flames rose, and out stepped your brother, followed by a heavenly voice that said,
Here is the son you asked for. He will bring you the vengeance you desire.
People cheered, and then the flames rose again. And out came you. The heavenly voice wasn't quite done yet. It then said,
Behold, we give you this girl, who gave beyond what you asked for. Take good care of her, for she will change the course of history.
And in the silence that followed, your father, he stepped forward and he said, he named your brother, Krishna, the destroyer of enemies. And he named you, Draupadi, the daughter of Drupad. But the heavenly voice wasn't quite done yet. It had one thing left to add.
The Draupadi, here is a warning. 3 dangerous moments will come to you. The first will be just before your wedding. At that time, hold back your passion. The second will be when your husbands are at the height of their power. At this time, hold back your laughter. The third will be when you're shamed as you never imagined possible. At that time, hold back your curse.
And that, darling, is the story of your birth.
Dhai Ma, I don't remember the claims made by the heavenly voice, but all I can recollect is this. Amidst the flames and the smoke, a gaunt, glittering man walked towards my brother and I as we stood hand in hand. He held out his arms, but only for my brother. It was only my brother he meant to raise up and to show to his people. Only my brother he wanted. However, Dhri wouldn't let go of me, nor I her. We clung together so stubbornly that father was forced to pick us both up together. But I cannot forget that hesitation. Even though in the years followed, father has been very careful in fulfilling his duties and providing me with everything he believes that a princess should have. But I can never forgive him for that initial rejection.
Dhri's tutor is seated on his stool, a scowl of contempt evident across his face.
What is the duty of a Kshatriya? The warrior king must honor, men of wisdom. He must protect anyone who seeks refusal. He must be fearless until death. The warrior who dies on the battlefield goes to the highest of heavens. And he must bring renown to his renown.
Forefathers, vengeance.
Most importantly, he must bring renown to his forefathers by avenging the honor of his family.
Prince, kindly ask your sister to refrain from prompting you. Will she be sitting behind you in the chariot during the battlefield when you need to remember these important precepts? Perhaps it is best she no longer joined us during your studies.
Respected teacher, my apologies. I won't interrupt again.
Great Prince, kindly remind your sister that last week too, she promised us the same thing.
Kindness for you. As you know, being a woman, she is cursed with a short memory. Additionally, she is of an impulsive nature and failing in many fields. Perhaps you could instruct her as to the conduct expected of a Kshatriya woman.
That is not my area of expertise, for it is not fitting for a celibate to think too much on the ways of women who are a path to destruction. I will recommend an excellent course of action to your father, one involving her being taught and disciplined by her Dhai Ma.
Draupadi is dismayed by this turn in events. She hungered to know about the world that existed beyond the 4 walls. But, thanks to this interchange, she would be dissuaded by her father from attending these lessons.
Prince, I have recalled one code of conduct which you may tell your sister. The highest purpose of a Kshatriya woman is to serve the warriors in her life, her father, brother, husband and sons. If they must be called to war, she should be happy that they had the opportunity to fulfill a heroic destiny. Instead of praying for their safe return, she must pray that they die with glory in battlefield.
We have to do that.
He was being so difficult, and all those things he accused women of, you know that they are not true. Besides, he was just a smile.
Smile? The problem with you is you're too pretty for your own good. It will get you into trouble with men, sooner or later, if you're not careful enough. No wonder father's been worrying about what to do with you.
How is it father never worries about you? Is it because you're so ugly?
Men are different from women, and that's a fact that everyone must agree upon. So when you learn, take that.
And who decides that? And who decides that a woman's highest purpose in life is to support men? A man, I would wager. Myself, I plan on doing other better things in my life.
I'm sorry, Draupadi. Look, the tutor wasn't totally wrong. When I leave for the final battle, that's what I would like you to pray.
Post a few years of training and education, Dhai Ma decides to let Draupadi meet her father's wife to test her social skills. Draupadi is eager to meet them. She waits hours on end to meet them, but she's worried with fear and confusion in her heart as to what was taking them so long.
I've always been curious about the queens, especially Sulochana. They seem to exist on the periphery of my life, elegant, jolly. I've always resented them for ignoring me, but now that I've grown up and matured, perhaps I'm willing to let go of that.
The wives chatter and laugh as they enter the hall. But the minute they spot Draupadi, the laughter dies down. She greets them, but they speak stiffly, briefly, and refuse to meet her eyes. She bows to the queen. Sulochana, Drupad's youngest and most beautiful queen, stands with her child. As Draupadi picks the child up, and before she starts playing, Sulochana snatches the child and slaps her so hard that the child bursts into tears. The slap echoes in silence. On the context of not feeling well, Sulochana returns to her chambers.
What did I do wrong, Dhai Ma? What did I do wrong? Why do they hate me so much?
You did fine. You did fine. Ignorant cows, they're just scared
Of me? Why?
The world consists of people like Sulochana, who can't see beyond their mundane lives and little joys and sorrows. They won't accept anything beyond the boundaries of custom. They may accept men like Dhri, who are of divine birth, fulfill a destiny shaped by the gods. But women, especially women who might bring change, the way a storm brings the destruction of lightning. All your life, they will shun you. But the next time, you must be prepared. So promise me, Draupadi, you must prepare.
This final year, Draupadi is greeted with utter silence as she enters the wedding hall. She enjoys her last moments of freedom and power as she walks graciously towards her designated seat. The kings of various kingdoms have arrived with their battle troops to win the hand of this woman destined to change the course of history.
My man, before the wedding, there is to be a test of skill. The king who wins is the one my sister will guard them. But my kings is not an ordinary test. You must bear some fish made of metal, rolling high on the ceiling of the wedding hall. However, you cannot look directly at the target, but only its reflection in a pool of boiling water. You must shoot an arrow through a tiny hole in the shield to hit your target. However, you cannot use your own weapon. You must use Kindara, the heaviest bow in existence. Let the Swayamvar commence!
Dhai Ma, I'm trying to match these kings' faces to their portraits, but their features have been flattened by age, perhaps anxiety.
I mean, to lose in front of this public assembly would be such a dishonor.
Yeah, but thanks to Dhri, I can catch the ones who are most dangerous, not because of they might win, but because of what they might do when they lose. Where is Arjun?
He's not here. Oh, King of Akadesh, Karna has come.
Poor prince. See him like hovering behind the marble pillar under the shadow of his commander Duryodhan. His wrists so disdainfully bare of any ornaments.
Look, Josanda could not even lift the Kindara. Behold, Duryodhan has lifted the bow. Here he goes, and he has missed the mark.
Only Karna is left. Would there be a spectacle to witness?
Renowned though you offer your skill, Karna, my sister cannot have us a suitor, a man of low caste. So I humbly request you to return to your seat.
It's true that I was brought up by Adhirata, but I am a Kshatriya. My Guru, Parshurama, saw this with his inner eye and cursed me for it. That curse gives me the right to stand among these warrior kings. I take part in this contest. Who dares to stop me?
Before you win my hand, King of Anga, tell me your father's name. For surely a wife to be, who must sever herself from her family and attach herself to her husband's line, has the right to know this.
You shall regret this question, Paanchali. One day, you shall.
Draupadi's head whirls as she realizes the gravity of the question she posed. But what else she could have done? She knew that this question would hurt Karna the most. Something would change the moment that she asked this question. The only question that would make Karna lay his hold down.
With all due respect to the king, may I try?
A Brahmin is higher born than any prince. He has the right.
The shield cracked into two and fell with a clap. Similarly, volume hung askew from the ceiling, its brass eye pierced by the Brahmin's arrow. After placing the garnet on the mysterious stranger's head, Draupadi sheds all her luxurious pleasures. Palace, chariots, attendants, and jewelry. She embarks upon a new journey with the stranger, barefoot, as she walks across the forest on the thorny road. Tired, she sits under a banyan tree.
I apologize for the fright this must have caused you.
I'm not so easily frightened.
I am so sorry for not having noticed your troubles. You see, I have been distracted with many worries that I don't want to burden you with.
Are you Arjun, the warrior of warriors?
Were I Arjun, would that make you happier?
I'm no longer a princess. I'm your wife and content with my lord, whoever you may be. But I've always thought of Arjun since Krishna spoke to me of his powers.
I cannot reveal my identity without my family's permission. But I can tell you this. I too have thought of Draupadi after Krishna described her many virtues. Come, we are late.
Dusk dawns by the time they enter a small settlement at the end of the dawn. Draupadi's heart sings as she sees the refuse alleys with the dilapidated walls. They are greeted by the other Pandavas. Arjun decides to trick his mother as she's always so serious.
Mate, see what I have brought home today.
Son, I can't come right now or the food will burn. But as always, whatever you brought must be shared equally amongst all my sons. All through my life, even in the hardest of times, everything I said, I made sure it was done. I told myself I'd bring you up as princess in the halls of your forefathers. And no matter how much harassment I faced, I held on to my promise. Son, if you value what I did for you, you must now honor my word. All 5 of you must marry this woman.
No, Mate, no! How can you tell us to do this? This is contrary to Dharma.
Let us eat now. It's late and you're tired. We can discuss this.
Naive desires of being the sole woman her husband's desire was never fulfilled. They went on to take many wives. Hidimba, Kali, Chitrangada, Balandara, Ulupi, Karnamati. But one such endeavor stung her the most when Arjuna, who was madly in love with Krishna's sister Subhadra, eloped with her on a chariot race.
I wasn't as upset as I made out to be when my other husband chose damsels for themselves. I'm a practical woman. I know I can't expect my husbands to remain celibate as they wait for their turn to be my spouse. But this is unacceptable. I rage when I think about possessing the only thing I've always wanted. Mad, wild, drunken love.
Calm down, Draupadi.
Arjun has never looked at me that way, and he never will. You encourage your sister Subhadra to snatch Arjun from me. How can you even call my name? How can you?
Will you listen to what I have to say? Arjun is not like a ghost that someone can stand for. He comes and goes of his own will. Besides, you know that no matter who else he marries, his commitment to you will remain the same. But most importantly, out of their union will come a great warrior. And out of him will come a king even greater. Isn't that more important than the sweet heart that you suffer?
Why won't you ever admit the truth? I'm nothing but a pawn for you all to sacrifice when it's best to your advantage. First, it was my father, King Drupad. Next, it was Arjun. Who next? Who next?
Father isn't as heartless as he seems, my dear. He's just convinced that your happiness lies in being the wife of father's greatest. As for many pawns, aren't we all pawns in the hands of time? The greatest player of them all?
Soon after the Pandavas married Draupadi, The Kaurava king Dhritarashtra gave away the most backward territory of his kingdom to the Pandavas. But with the help of a celestial architect, the Pandavas unraveled a marvel, the palace of illusions. Draupadi had the utmost respect and rights as a queen there. But, as fate would have it, the second prophecy of the curse took shape. The Kauravas had visited their cousins with the intent of recreating such a magnificent palace for themselves.
My queen, see who's here. Pointing to the Apsara statue with huge gesture. He's surely resting very high.
Duryodhana had mistaken an illusory bridge and fallen into a green one who was watered instead. Peals of laughter surrounded the palace as Draupadi and the attendants mocked the plight of Duryodhana.
Seems the blind king's son is also blind. Control your laughter, Paanchali. Perhaps my son can calm his cousin down and repair his insulted pride. It is too sad that he will have to debase himself because of your foolishness. But it's absolutely essential. You don't know how vindictive Duryodhana can be. Or how dangerous.
The Kauravas had graciously invited the Pandavas to visit Hastinapur. The latter, unaware of the ulterior motives involved, departed at once. On the last day of their visit, they coaxed the Pandavas into a fun game of dice. Draupadi, careless about such a situation, was eager to return home. As she lay incognizant, staring at the ceiling, chaos erupted.
Draupadi! Terrible things have happened! You won't believe!
What happened? You startled me. What's the matter?
You've been summoned to the Sabha! Yudhishthira has lost it all gambling! First, the coffers of money, then the palace, then himself, and finally you!
No! How could Yudhishthira let this happen? He had no right. What did my husband say?
They couldn't say anything. They were already Duryodhana's slaves by then.
No.
Before she could compose herself, Draupadi is dragged to the Sabha by the cruel Dushasana. He drags her across the corridors of the palace under the shocked gaze of the retainers. No one intervenes. Her husbands refuse to meet her eyes. Duryodhana commands Dushasana to strip Paanchali of her clothes and jewelry.
Hey Krishna, my love for you has no bounds. As your Saki, as your best friend, I beckon you to be on my side in this moment of utter humiliation. My husbands have failed to protect me. Our grandfather Bhishma has forgotten his boundaries of Dharma. The righteous Karna has forgotten all his morals. Our cousins have turned into the ruthless king. Who? Only but you can save me right now.
No one can shame you if you don't allow it.
As fear ebbs, vengeance takes over.
you will die in the battle that will be spawned from this day's work. Your mothers and wives will be far more piteously than I wept. This entire kingdom will become a charnel house. Not one Kaurava head will be left to offer praise to the dead. All of that will remain is a shameful memory of today. What you tried to do to a defenseless woman.